What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Lure Painting with Zach Baker. I'm Zach Baker, and today we're going to be painting a bluegill pattern. Last video I uploaded was an easy lure pattern for beginners. This one's a little bit more in depth because there's a lot more colors that go into it, but I'm going to run you through each step. That way you guys can do this at home. Also, wanted to say that we just hit 5,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much. I'm extremely excited about that. So grab your favorite snack, drink, whatever it is, sit back, relax, and let's paint. Okay, I already actually started spraying on this side. I forgot to even say anything. This is a little 4-inch bluegill, so it's actually pretty cool. It's a 2-piece, so it kind of darts back and forth in the water when you're retrieving it. I don't want this transparent, so to start things, which I already did, I'm going to be doing a base coat of white using the Createx airbrush paint. I'm going to hit it with the hairdryer really quick and do a second coat. Base coat of white is on and dry. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but there's like this little belly area that sticks out a little bit more. I'm going to be doing this whole up from this eyelet up to the front is all going to be an opaque yellow, and then we're going to fade it and do some blue in the back, and then I'm going to go ahead and carry that yellow up the side of his gill plate here, and then we're going to do some green up there. That way there's no white in between the yellow and the green. I'm not going to be spraying anything back here because we're going to be doing a blue. I don't want the yellow and the blue to kind of overlap each other and make a funky color. Next color is a Wicked brand color, and it's blue, but I really like this blue. I picked it up recently, kind of replacing a transparent Createx blue I had. I couldn't find this in opaque, at least in the store. Probably ordered it online. But I got this one, I really like it. Does its job just fine. So I'm gonna carry this blue from the joint all the way back here and bring it up just a little bit on the sides there, but definitely this whole bottom fin's gonna be blue. And I don't want this blue and the yellow to overlap a whole bunch, but we're gonna do it just a little bit. That way it's not solid yellow, solid blue. Then we're going to bring some green in later. That'll kind of help bring them all together. I don't know how well you can see it, but kind of makes a little bit of its own green anyway. So that works. Going to hit this with the hairdryer and switch over to a green to do the side. Next color is a pearlized green, which is actually pearl lime. And whatever is still white on this bait is going to go this color. This is just a base color. We're going to do a stencil pattern. So most of this is going to be covered up, but anything that's white's going green. That way if whatever the stencil pattern's covering later is covering some of the white, it'll be green instead. And also a good time to kind of fade it into that yellow. Pearl green's done. Gonna hit it with the hairdryer if you haven't figured that out by now. And then we're gonna grab our stencil pattern and move on to doing some darker colors. Here's the stencil pattern we're using, which is just like a netting from the sewing section at good old Walmart. Got that put on there. I put my clamps right on top, the dorsal fin, so that might scratch that a little bit, but I'm not worried about it because I know I'm gonna be painting it again later or doing some black on it. If I wasn't going to be doing that, I probably wouldn't have it clamped right on the dorsal fins. I'm also going to make sure that my stencil pattern is really tight because I'm going to be doing a couple different colors, so I don't want it to move at all on me. First color up is the ink, which is olive deep green. If you've watched my videos, you know I use this color a lot. I'm going to go ahead and spray that. We're going to cover up everything. I'm going to try to fade it into that yellow, and I'm going to try to avoid spraying it over the blue because I just kind of want that blue to stay blue rather than a dark green on top of it. I'm also not going to go solid green because this is a pretty dark color. I don't know if I have this little tissue. It's a pretty dark green. I'm going to keep it pretty light, so it's going to be lighter at the bottom and slowly get to almost the solid dark green. Going to clean out the brush, hit this with a hairdryer because up next we're going to be doing some black. but I'm leaving the stencil pattern on there, but I also want to make sure that my paint is dry before I do this next step I'm getting ready to do. That way if the stencil pattern does shift a little bit, it's not smearing paint around. What I have is one of these big combs, which is from one of my videos about lure stencils from Walmart. And what I did was tape up every other one. I wanted these gaps in between to be wider. You could probably just get a piece of paper and cut out lines like that if you wanted to. Had this comb, had some tape, worked out quick for me, and I like the results I get from it. I'm also making sure I'm only spraying on one side. That way if you are doing a bait that doesn't have a stencil pattern on it, none of this black paint or whatever color would wear off or rub off onto your bait, which is why you can see one side's clean, one side's got paint all over it. You've really only got one shot at this unless you clamp this to the bait. This one's a little bit easier because there's such big gaps that I can see in case I don't get it as dark as I want to. But what I'm going to be doing is basically, I want the black to kind of start where the yellow ends. So it's not going to go all the way down. It's just going to kind of start where the yellow ends. I'd prefer it to fade right there is kind of the goal. So I'm just going to hold this up there. I'm not going to spray it super thick because I don't want it to be like really strong, bold black lines. And there we go. So you can see down there at the yellow how it kind of fades off, which I think looks better than it just stopping as a solid black. Gonna tilt this the other direction and repeat the process. And there we go. Now I've already got the black loaded up in the airbrush, so I'm gonna hit this with the hairdryer, take off the stencil pattern, and do some, like I said, clean up this top part, probably darken it up around the eyes, and then we got a couple more colors to do. Okay, so I'm just going to darken up around the eye and the back. I'm going to do the tail, not solid black, but cover up most of that, so that way it'll kind of fade into the green. And I don't know how well you can see it, but I'm leaving the bottom half of the tail blue. I think on this one, the dark green I did earlier, I went a little bit darker than I planned on, but that's okay. I was describing it to you guys and then still went too dark. But still looking pretty good at this point. Going to switch, and I'm going to spray the very back half of this tail. Alright, got the black done. Going to hit it with the hairdryer and move on to some final touches. Alright, 2 more colors and this bait's done. Now, you could have done this at the beginning because we're just doing it over here on this yellow. What I like to do is I get my base coat on. After that stencil pattern goes on, sometimes, this one I didn't, but sometimes I'll get those clamps too tight, like these little clips will be too tight on my pattern, or I'll scratch it. This one's super clean. Sometimes they scratches my base coat of paint. That's why I wait to do these colors till after the stencil pattern's done. The other reason is this pearlized orange, when it's really lightly, looks pretty cool on top of other greens. So I want to get all my greens on there and then have a little bit of the pearlized orange just up on the gill plate really lightly. That way when the sun hits it or light hits it at different angles, sparkles a little bit. So what I'm going to do is start off with the pearlized white. We're going to move pearlized orange, and then we will do the red. Now I'm going to bring between the eyelet and the mouth, I'm going to bring this orange about halfway and have it fade into that yellow. And then ever so slightly up on, not the black part, well, it'll be on the black portion of around the eye just a little bit, but I'm more so focused on that gill plate. Does not take much. Just a little bitty bit. I'm going to kind of do the same thing underneath the gill plate where that belly is. Bring that orange up there just a little bit. The red I'm using is a bright red, and it is transparent. Not that big of a deal if it's not transparent, just the bright red I have that I like. I'm going to do the same thing, so about halfway where the orange is going to hopefully be red fading into the orange. The front lip portion is going to be a solid red. So now you got that nice transition from solid red to orange to yellow and then into our blue. I was getting ready to glue in the eyes, but this thing is like full, it's not coming out. It's coming out at the bottom. Please hold. I think I've got it working just good enough for this bait, but probably my last use on this glue. A little bit of glue in there. I've got these eyes that are look back eyes. So I'm going to have them looking backwards like something's chasing them. Kind of hold it for a couple seconds. I always like to put the super glue in there. It's just one more little step, but it's going to make sure that this eye never pops out. It shouldn't go anywhere once that clear coat goes on. But if you can prevent it by one more little step, then it's worth doing it. Okay, there we go. We got all the colors on. There are all the colors we have. There's the base coat of white, the blue, the yellow, the green, the dark green, the black, the orange, and the red. So 8 colors on one bait. I think it looks pretty cool. I really like this bait once the clear coat goes on too. So we got this bait all ready for clear coat. I do have a YouTube video on how I do my clear coating, which I'll have that linked below if you want to check it out. I don't think I showed in that video how to do a bait that's got a joint in it like this. Now, I struggle hardcore with baits, pre-made baits like this that have multiple joints. Ones that just have one joint, 2 pieces like this one are much easier. What I do is I'll clear coat the bottom half, put that in the carrying box, let it harden, then I can hang it from this side and clear coat the top half. And I always just brush these on. I don't try to dip it. But that's how I clear coat those. Or these two, the one jointed ones like this, 2 pieces. I'm gonna get this one clear coated. We'll come back, take some final shots of it, and then we'll go from there.